We are live. Welcome to Sexually Speaking.
We're
Welcome,
sassy
everybody.
today.
Thank you for joining us. This is Sexually Speaking with myself, Keisha Clark, and my gorgeous sister goddess co-host, Rhonda Burns. Good morning, hun.
Good morning. I'm dancing. I'm singing. It's just a party up in here. More so than usual.
And that's kind of appropriate, is it not? For sex. When we're talking about sex, it should be fun. It could be fun.
How are you this morning, lovely?
Oh, I'm good. And I'm like, I was for all of you, I was as Ron and I were chatting before the show started, it was just occurring to me, it's like, oh, it's the last show of 2016. It's my last show here on this property that I'm on. And I mean, all of this change and stuff going on and really cool creation in the process. And wow, how about you? What's up in your world?
I'm just fabulous. I'm just happy just for no reason. And I'm feeling extra sassy today. And I'm like, I got no complaints. How does it get any better? So life is good. It's good.
I love the silliness. Isn't it funny? What if we could be more willing to allow ourselves to have that silliness when the whole, like, all of those sexual energies come up, or get activated or start to move, or however you want to say that. And if you are joining us for the first time, thank you. If you're joining us live for the first time, thank you. And if you're finding us on a replay and this is your first conversation of ours to hear that you're participating in, thank you. Basically, we're really grateful that you're coming to play. And if you haven't heard anything about Sexually Speaking, essentially we are having unconventional conversations to unfuck your life, where we are celebrating all things sex and the sex of everything. And when we talk about sex, we're talking about sex in a far more broad context than simply physical behavior or certain chemicals or certain words or actions. Even though today our topic is a little less talk, a lot more sex. And yes, we are including the physical sex, the copulation. A lot of us might desire a lot more of that. And we're also going to play with all of the rest of the spectrum, or at least as much as we can tap into today for this conversation, that sex actually is, that we don't really talk about, we don't really acknowledge, and we haven't really gotten to play with in our lifetime, or maybe for some of us, a whole lot of lifetimes. So where do you want to jump in? Shall we read our little ditty?
Yeah. Do you have it handy? I can pull it up.
Do.
If not, yes. We'll read you the description.
The ditty.
The ditty.
I love that word.
Did you say titty? The ditty.
Ditty.
I'm going out of bounds today. You've been warned. Okay.
Jump right on in, honey. So, is it true that talk is cheap? Does talking just become white noise after a while? And what if we don't actually have words for all that we desire to communicate? So then what do we do? Do actions really speak louder than words? Is action required? Or could it be something else? And what if the something else is actually sex? So what if more sex rather than more words is actually what is required now? So, everybody let that mean what it means to you for this moment. And everything that means, would you be willing to go choosing beyond whatever it is you have defined sex to be, and what the idea of more sex has to mean for you, for us, for anybody?
And I would love to share, if it's okay. And thank you, Wendy, who was the one who threw this description, this topic out.
Yes.
So if I may share, you and Wendy and I had an amazing holiday brunch on Christmas Day, just a few days ago, at a local restaurant. And we were there 4+ hours and just had a delightful time of fellowship and laughter and talking and eating and just enjoyment. And that was us having sex. Yeah. It was fun and playful and, inclusive and generative and enjoyable and pleasurable. And, we weren't having physical, copulation, but it was so vibrant. Yeah. And we had the universe show us in several forms that people were attracted to that. You know, we had the manager come over and like, who are you ladies about? Y'all are awesome. Like he was very complimentary and acknowledging of the energy we were being. And then this 3-year-old Elias comes over and he wants to play with us because he was resonating in that vibration, right? So it was such a beautiful visual example, that we were in action, in that we were communicating and playing, but we were being
Mm.
sex. We were open, right, to including and receiving and contributing to everybody in that restaurant. We didn't have a point of view whether they had sex with us or not. We were having sex for the fun of it, right? So I just
Totally.
wanted to share that. Whether that makes sense to you or not, just tap into the energy. It was vibrant and beautiful, and I absolutely am so grateful for that time and space,
Oh,
because it's such a clear, like, that's what we're talking
totally.
about.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And that it was such an amazing gift, and it was so cool that we got to do that on Christmas Day. It was such a different kind of Christmas, a different way to play
yeah.
with Christmas, a different way to play with sex, and we had food. I mean, how does it get even better? You have
We
sex
had
and you have
good
food.
food. Oh, we
Oh
had
my God.
orgasmical food. My body was happy. Oh my God.
It was totally orgasmic. And so when one of the ways that kind of come to mind to maybe do a metaphorical description is, what if you were to imagine the molecules of you engaging the molecules of everything else in your environment, of everything else in the universe. So if it's kind of like an energetic copulation, really, because
Yeah,
it's bringing the energies together, but it doesn't always have to include bringing the bodies physically together.
yeah,
And we will never tell you to never do that, because
yeah.
we are all for pleasure and what actually creates generative expansiveness for your body and for you.
Absolutely.
And so it's not about us saying don't have physical sex. We actually invite you to have more of that, as well as the times that we're not having physical sex. What are you willing to have? And what if more of that is really a way that we can actually change so much more of our lives and so much more of what is going on in our lives?
Yeah. And I just heard, it's not necessarily, well, it's not about everybody else. It's about having it with you. It's
Yeah.
about being it with you. It always starts with us first, right? It's
Yes.
got to be us. And then from here, it emanates out and it invites and it inspires and motivates and does whatever it does. But I love that. It was funny when you talked about the molecules. I saw Pac-Man, but Pac-Man would go around eating. Like, we don't want to eat the molecules. We want to like Pac-Man with a magnet.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
like magnetizing Pac-Man. So not chomping Pac-Man, but magnetizing Pac-Man. That's where my mind goes, people. Welcome to my world.
I love it. You do have an 11-year-old son. I mean, you get
And
creative.
sometimes I act a lot younger than he does. I'm just saying. He's embarrassed already.
He knew what he was getting into.
Oh my God, he totally did. Anyway, so no,
Yeah.
that's super amazing.
So,
Yeah.
so what if it is about not talking as much? And yes, we are talking, for all of you smarty pants who are going, well, you're talking right now. Well,
We're
yes,
teachers.
we
We're
are.
your coaches. That's why. We're allowed.
We're allowed. That's right. We have a ticket. We get to talk. Um, but what if it was actually about when you're having conversation, to be adding the element of sex, to be adding the energies of sex? And what if we could allow our conversations to be infused with that energy? What if we began to ask for that? So I'm always fascinated, like, what is it about sex that makes conversations so challenging? Because we have conversations, and then we have conversations about sex, and then we have sex, and then we have what I would love to see more of in the world is, and I desire this for people, it's not about just seeing it in the world. It's really about having a sense of the possibilities of this, of sex, and really, truly, earnestly desiring for more people to have this, if they're willing to choose it, and when they're willing to choose it. And that is what inspires me to keep having these conversations, to keep doing what I do.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
mean to cut you off.
go for it.
To answer your question, like what is so cumbersome about it's all the projections, and we talked about this. This
Oh
is
yeah.
30 shows in. We talked about the projections. Hi, Eleanor. Welcome, darling.
Hey, sweetie.
It's all the projections that people have about what sex means and what it is and what it has to
Right.
look like and what it has to be like. And so the question that I always come back to when I engage in conversation with people, and I'm back in the dating scene, oh my God. So it's like so much information, so many points of view, so many. I'm like, interesting point of view. So I'm using my tools, people. But it's funny as I start to engage in conversation, I just ask myself if I had no point of view about anything, what would I say right now?
Yeah.
And I'm usually asking questions. Well, what does that mean to you? And what's fun, right? I'm just curious. But that question, if you take it back to, if I had no point of view
Hmm.
or reference point, what would I choose?
Yeah.
Kind of takes the pressure off,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I love that.
Mm.
Whew. So what I'm I wonder what is asking us to speak. There's a whole lot of energies kind of like going me 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 me.
So line up one by one so we can identify you and
Take
speak
it,
to
take it,
you.
take it. Take a number.
Take a number.
Take a number. We'll get to you. Yeah. So there's like having conversation to begin with. What one of the things I'm watching occur is when people approach conversation now, because we have so much more electronic communication,
Right.
there's a different way people approach conversation to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
And this is huge. Like, you know, the way we do things on this planet is we relate to each other. We communicate with each other. And and part of what I have a great appreciation for is people who can actually have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like that earns massive brownie points for me.
Mm-hmm.
I value a person's being able to express themselves through words. Now, I grew up in the arts. I'm in the field of coaching and facilitation. I am also an intuitive medium and multi-clairs, all the clairs.
Right.
I got a clair club. um, so I'm accustomed to talking. I'm accustomed to communicating because it's not just about talking. And yet, when it comes to expressing ourselves with words, a lot of people, a lot of us, because I've had these moments, the awkwardness of that can be daunting. With as aware, we are very aware of what is going on in people's universes. And oftentimes, before we're even aware that we're aware of it, there's already stuff, being activated between the energies of us and them. And so what are some things that we can offer folks just for conversation to begin with? Like if you are a person who doesn't currently have a great deal of conversation, but you would like to be having more conversation, Rhonda, what are some things that you would put on the table for people to play with?
Oh Lord, where do I begin? Okay, well, first and foremost, I am all about focusing on what you do desire and not focusing on what you don't have or what you don't want. It's like, okay, cool. So if I'm not having a lot of conversation and I desire more conversation, cool, universe, would you please bring me some really enjoyable, generative people to have really fun and stimulating conversation with?
Yeah.
Ask for what you desire and just trust, you must trust that it will be. Right. And so if you're willing to be the energy of enjoyable, generative conversation, or you fill in the blank, whatever kind of, you want to have kinky conversation or sexy, like, I don't care, fill in the blank. So identify what you desire, ask the universe for it, and trust that it will be so. And then, okay, cool. If you find yourself in conversation and it's awkward or uncomfortable, okay, cool. Who does this belong to? What else is possible? These are all basics, right?
Yeah.
And how much fun and pleasure can I infuse? And yeah, you said infused.
Mm-hmm.
How much fun and pleasure can I infuse into this conversation right now? And that alone is going to flip the energy, right? When you infuse fun and pleasure into it, ooh, yeah, step back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
those are just a couple. off
I
the top
love
of
that.
my head. How about you?
Yeah, and I love the point Eleanor brought up. She said texting is a big way that people communicate now, and so if we just acknowledge what we are aware of, you cannot convey your your energies
Right.
really adequately through various electronic forms, and
Right.
so just acknowledge that. And if that is something that you don't appreciate or really isn't fun for you, would you be willing to acknowledge that too?
Yep.
And I love these points Rhonda brought in about, ask for the people that it would be fun to play with. Ask for
Hmm.
people that it would be fun to talk to. You might get a little specific, that it would be fun to have conversations with. Ask
Hmm.
for a partner if you're looking for a primary playmate. Ask for a playmate or a partner to be showing up that would actually enjoy having conversations with you. We
Right.
have these big, very interesting, like collective point of view things that women are talkers and men are not. And I actually know a number of men who like to
I
talk.
know a number of men.
And some men just don't talk in certain situations, and some
Right.
women just don't talk in certain situations or about
Right.
certain topics. I don't find it exactly, exciting to talk about brain surgery. It just doesn't really do it for me. I
Hmm.
can be fascinated by certain things. And of course, a lot of times when people are speaking about their particular field, I'm seeing things like metaphors and analogies,
Right.
because that's just sort of the way energy shows up for me. And what if you could also play with what are the words that you're using? So all of our words have energies, and the way we are taught to convey our energies is very different. Our friend Wendy grew up in the northern territory, like Chicago,
Hmm.
and one of the things that she tells a story about is when she moved to Texas, where we are, that it was an adjustment period that took place due to the fact that in the north, like Chicago, Illinois, New
Great
York,
Lake.
all of that northeastish kind of area too. Um, People speak very differently. They convey their feelings very differently. It's more abrupt. It's a bit more sharp. I think Eleanor might be familiar with this too, or one of another New Yorker. Um, and and that is, I remember being in a Boston airport for a few moments because I was on in between flights, and I just was amazed. I mean, it only took me a few minutes, and I was just amazed with, for me, what was a dynamic difference in the way people related to each other and
Hmm.
communicated. Just standing in line at a food concession stand or whatever, there was just a completely different way, a completely
Hmm.
different rhythm, tempo, the where they place their emphasis when they're talking, and I was just in awe of how much more aggressive the languaging and the posturing and the communication was. And it was just
Hmm.
really weird to me coming from Texas.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing too, I think, for us to maybe play with, really choosing to be aware of, is how has this person learned to relate to someone else? How have I learned to relate to someone else, to the world, to other people? And all of the kind of maybe hidden or unconscious points of view that may be there as well about what, oh, you might have some interesting points of view about people from other states, from other cultures, from other families, from other tax brackets. And those are some things to play with too, because really unconsciously, those particular points of view can kind of creep in, and without our even really being aware of it, they impact the way we speak to and relate to others. So if you're
Hmm.
interested in playing with the energy, would you be willing to look up some of the words you're using? And Etymology Online is a fabulous source. You can also just go to the Webster's, go to what's the other one? Dictionary.com. Um,
Dictionary.com. Hmm.
I love to go to Etymology Online, and I think it's actually ETYM Online.
Yeah.
Um, I love to look up the way the words kind of were used originally. And part of what I look at is how a lot of us have an awareness of the energies of words, not necessarily cognitively, but when we can shift how we use a word or shift the words we're using, or just have a different awareness of what the words we're using actually refer to or mean,
Hmm.
it can change the way you create and express dynamically.
Absolutely.
So,
And
um, go for it.
and since we're talking about a lot less talk and a lot more sex, as you were talking about, going into other regions and parts of the world, we are, they're unique. They're unique organisms and areas, and I know many of us are chameleons. We can go in and we can morph and we can blend and we can, and I would just encourage you highly, because we're talking about a lot more sex, and
Yeah,
you, my friends, are sex incarnate. You
yeah,
just are. And so when you know who you are and you exude that and you infuse that into everything and everywhere you go, I can go anywhere in the world. I've gone many places by myself, across the pond, across the globe, and I don't change for anybody. Now, yes, the way I speak, I go into Southern drawl. I'm from Texas originally. Now I can speak with the best of them in the Northeast or the Northwest or it doesn't matter. But who I am is just fun and playful. And so when I get rolling, I slur and I slang and I do these because it's fun for me. That's just who I am. It's my personality. So I can stand in New York City and I can, in my big, bold, sassiness, and I can flirt with the best of them. And it's not going to look like the guy standing next to me who's a native New Yorker.
right, right.
And that's the beauty of being who you are. It's not about blending and being like everybody else. So if you
Exactly.
have points of view about standing out or being different, get over your points of view, right? Like, seriously.
Yes,
Because here's what
yes,
I know: when I'm being the energy of me and I'm showing up wherever I go, I am sex, and people are drawn to that. And a great example is since I put my pictures back online, I live the energy of the words that I write in the description in my photos. So people never have to read a word on my profile. They can look at my pictures. They get the energy of who I am.
yeah,
So that's what we're talking about. I don't even have to talk to these people. If they
yeah,
look at these pictures and they're like, "Oh, she's something different." She's crazy, right?
yeah,
So it's really about embodying the energy and the presence and everything that you are as the sexualness that you are.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
I hope that made a
yeah.
little bit of sense.
Totally. And I love that because it kind of was, we were going to segue there. And I love that when you have a greater sense of comfortability with what you're saying, you don't
Hmm.
actually require saying as much.
Exactly.
A lot of us get into the talking because we're trying to explain it because we want people to understand us. And that you spoke exactly to that. It's like, there's a point that we go beyond the words. And what would it be like for us to be more willing to go beyond the words? So the energy of words has a value to me, and I wonder if,
Yes.
for how many of you. And then it's kind of like the training wheels. I think words might actually be training wheels.
That's
you know
awesome.
what
Yeah.
if that were the case? What if you could let that be the case? You use words to kind of get acquainted on the sort of, in the three-dimensional way,
Yeah.
and then you kind of get beyond the words. And a lot of us have done this with partners, I know. And what if you could have that with your friends?
Hmm.
That you could meet and it didn't require a lot of jibber jabber. It didn't require
Yeah.
gossip. It didn't require all of these itty bitty things to comb over. What if you could just be there? Because, like
Hmm.
we shared about our Christmas day,
Hmm.
and there were moments that we were just like able to be there and just breathe and just enjoy where
Yeah.
we were, what was going on, everything that was we were receiving.
Right.
So yeah, like what, and then what is beyond the words, and
Yeah.
are we really willing to know that? I wonder, is
Hmm.
that what intimidates people?
Yeah, the silence, yes, and does intimidate people. People have a need to fill the space.
Hmm.
I know what was that? Oh gosh, there was an acronym in my coaching program when I was going through all those years ago. Oh, it's WAIT, WAIT.
Hmm.
Why am I talking?
Ooh,
And right, because we were working on space, we were working on silence, and it was like, if you're not used to being quiet and having silence, it can be excruciating,
yeah,
right? So that was super fun. So that might be helpful for some folks. But I remember some of my greatest joy is when I was in relationship with, previous partners, and we would take drives, on a Sunday through the country or just, in a different area, and would have no need to talk
Yeah.
and would just enjoy being together. And, if we wanted to comment on, but there was so much silence, but it didn't need to be filled. And it
Mhm.
was such joy and ease. And yeah, I'll have way more of that, right? And then
Mhm.
if you wanted to, oh my gosh, look at that, I'd fill the space or whatever, he would. But it's like that's some of my greatest, fondest memories
Yeah.
of some of my partners is that type of ease in the space and the silence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question that popped in as you were saying that is how many of us are using language as a barrier
Mm.
rather
Mm.
than a
Mm.
conduit?
Mm.
So are you using language or talking as a barrier or to
Right.
reinforce a barrier rather than as a conduit or to be an invitation?
Nice.
And what else could you be choosing? What else could each of us be choosing that would allow us to, when we are speaking, to be speaking an invitation, to be speaking ease into our lives, to be speaking joy, to be speaking who we be, really. Like Rhonda was saying, people don't even have to really read the description on her
Mm.
profile. What if there could be more of that for us? And what would it take and what would it be like
Mm.
if we were willing to allow that?
Yeah.
How could it show up for us, I wonder? That's kind of yummy.
That's super yummy. Oh, that's awesome. Wendy shared that in therapy a few years ago, learning how she'd been using words as a wall to keep from being vulnerable. Yeah,
Exactly.
right. Because when we're languaging and talking, it's an outward projection, right? And then there's energy
Mhm.
infused with it. But if we words, it doesn't really allow a lot in. So that's a great awareness. Yeah. So how you do it, I don't think that's an issue any longer because I know Wendy. So how does it get any better? And right, she says no, exactly, right? So if you are a talker, there's nothing wrong with talking, but I would invite you to question, okay, what am I using my words for? Is it to articulate? Is it to express? Is it to resist? Is it to defend? Is it to deflect? Right? Just get
Mhm.
clear, do the work, just find out, ask the question, and then be willing, to create something different if you desire.
Yeah.
I'm good with as much as I love to talk. Y'all know I love to talk radio and this, and like I'm just a talker and I facilitate. I'm really good with silence now. And I do know that if I'll ask somebody and I'll get them rolling and they're talking and I won't say a word and it could be a really long period of time. And I'm cool with that. And I never thought I would be cool with that. And it so
Yes.
works for me because here's the beauty of silence and space is you tend to get a lot of information, whether it be via somebody else's words or language or energy.
Yeah.
Because if you're willing to have your barriers down and be open to receiving it, you get lots of information. And I like lots of information because then I get to pick and choose.
Totally. And there's the sex in the
Yeah.
way we play with it. There's where
Yeah.
the sex. So, how much talking are we using to keep sex off the table, to keep
Mm.
the possibilities of
Mm.
sex from really being available to us?
Let me jot that down.
And it's like we know that things begin energetically, right? I mean, we talk in, the metaphysical and new age and whatever you want to call it, circles, the law of attraction circles. We know that the energy is the mother language, right?
Yep.
And so if we're playing with this, looking at the way we know the nature of energy is, if we never allow for the energies to be present, to be activated, that could create more of the invitation, how do we really have an expectation or the possibilities of having sex in any other way?
Mm.
Yeah, like if we're not willing to engage, if we're not willing to allow the energy of us to engage the world or to be engaged, then can physical sex be fun for us? It's like we're not really setting this, creating the space, setting the tone, however you want to say that.
Right. Right.
um,
Wow. So many energies here. And I
yeah.
There's some great comment. Thanks for y'all's chat today. This is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Had to learn to be comfortable with silence. It didn't come naturally. And yes, I think right when we choose to embody here from non-physical, we're in a body. We come in as kids like blah, 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 right? Like it's about the tone of our voice and the rhythm and the cadence and the vibration and how does it sound and it
Yeah.
right. So it's the experience of being here, I think. And then if we don't cultivate and craft and master the use of language and words and timing and such, then yes, it can be a hindrance. And so Eleanor asked Truth, I wonder, do I talk to control? Truth, do you? And it may not be all the time. And again, don't ever make yourselves wrong. Any of you, ever. We don't ever make ourselves wrong. It's simply from curiosity. And it may be in this 10 seconds and not the other 10 seconds. And you'll know, I know for myself when I really got clear on where I was interjecting words when they weren't required or putting my 2 cents in, it didn't have a good feel to it, right? When I'm truly in flow and in alignment and I'm in the zone and I'm expressing, it's fluid. There's no sticky residue. There's no, heaviness to it.
Totally.
But when I would interject something that didn't actually need to be there, it would have a little funk to it. And I'm like, oh, what's that? Right? So that's another way to look at it is how does it energetically land for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so fast too. I mean, you notice it very quickly, and you're like, oh, that didn't go through. And so it's like that speaks to that. How aware are we? If we allowed ourselves to really have our awareness, to really be with our awareness, would that allow the whole conversation to change? And if we're, I hear a lot of people say they want more sex. I hear a lot of people say they want better sex, and those two requests, I wonder how quickly things could shift that would create that for them, for us, with our willingness to have our awareness, to really let our awareness guide us, make choices from our awareness rather than an investment we have, or a habit that we're following, or an expectation that we're having, or a judgment, a conclusion, a projection, or whatever. I'm loving the word engage. I'm just really enjoying that word these days. There's a real juiciness and sexualness to that too.
Yeah.
And it's this, I grew up dancing, and the whole metaphor of dancing is such a beautiful way of expression in my interesting point of view. There is that thing that we do energetically as well, because I notice a lot of us really don't allow for energetic movement when we're relating to people, communicating with people. It's almost, and it's like there's these walls that we try to talk beyond, rather than reaching out and really engaging another being. And a lot of people can do that with pets more easily than they can with other people.
Right.
So what would it take for us, each of us in our unique way, to be more comfortable, to have more ease with the engagement? And that came up in last week's conversation with Alan too. We were talking about the willingness to engage. And so what does that mean for you guys?
Yeah.
What is that for you? And how do you do that? How do you organically engage? Some of us have some ways that we do it, and others of us have our, it is unique to each of us.
Yes.
So would you be willing to be aware of that?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything major. I know for me, the most disarming, most engaging thing I have is this thing right here. And the ability, when I look at people, and again, it's not necessarily about I'm going to receive it back, but I will look people in the eye and I will turn on the smile, and it will either draw them in or make them go, right? They do whatever they do with it, but that is my way of engaging. It's just natural to who. It's different for everyone, right? Some people, and I'm not even going to go down the list of what it could be, but notice what your engagement factors, protocols, tools, I don't even know what to call them, are, right? What are...
Yeah.
And
And will you use them?
and will you utilize them? Like we've all got we are fully equipped, folks. Like we got it. We just got to utilize it, right? And I did want to share a tool here because as you were talking about when we're talking to people, and usually people are behind walls and barriers, and if you really truly do desire to engage with somebody who isn't really giving you much to interact with, here's
Mm-hmm.
a fun one. This is from Access Consciousness, and it's simply pulling energy.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as if you recognize that this person's a little walled up, all you have to think is, okay, I'm just going to pull massive amounts of energy. And it looks like this. It's from all over the universe, and you pull energy from behind and through that person, and then through you and out the back of you. That's how it looks, but you don't have to even do all that. Simply just think, I'm going to pull massive amounts of energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. And just, it's going to keep happening. And what happens is energetically, naturally, the barriers start to come down, right? And then they might be more receptive to your engagement practices.
Yeah.
And if not, and if it's not fun, move on, right? Like don't stay there. Don't do what's not fun.
Right.
Unless it's fun for you to really play with it. You're hard-headed like I might have been at one time.
I've done that a few. I've made that choice. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. And I would, of course, we always invite you to share feedback with us. I'm curious to know, and I'll be playing with this for myself. I'm curious to know, what does that create for you then in a more physically sexual way? Does it allow you more freedom with your body? Does it allow you more confidence? Does it increase your level of ease in approaching people, in just paying people compliments, and wow. And does it actually increase the quality or change the quality of the way things happen for you when you are choosing copulation?
Right.
Now, I know what, I have my awareness, but I'm curious, like, what is your awareness for you? Could that be something that contributed to that for you, if that's something you desire?
Right.
And at the same time, we don't have to have any investment or expectation that energetic sex leads to physical sex. Sometimes that energy, that dance of energy, can be such an enormous contribution and really can be all that is required. And that's another great question to play with. Is anything required of me here?
Mm-hmm.
And or you can also ask, what energies are required here? We are conduits of limitless possibility. And if we're willing to be that and add our awesomeness to the mix, do you get a sense of what that opens up? It just the space for limitless creation.
Mm-hmm.
Including energetic creation. It doesn't have to be something that you ever see with your physical eyes.
Yeah. That's a great point with creation. So my newsletter went out, I think, while we were on the call, and I shared that I was at this place recently where I was looking at my life, and it's like, there's no joy in it, right? I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And when I asked, like, what is this? What's going on? And I just heard, it's time to go back to basics and do what is pleasure for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's really that simple. And so immediately I was like, okay, I had my list. So what's pleasure for me? What's fun for me? And I just started, right? And so now every single day I prime the pump of me from the space of pleasure, which it includes talking to myself in the mirror, like, what's up, sexy? Yeah, like just being playful in the mirror with me, or dance breaks, right? Or while I'm in the kitchen waiting for the coffee, right? Like I'm doing the salsa or the samba, right? Or I'm making funny noises, or I'm bathing in bath salts, or I'm, a new kind of lotion, or I got a yummy new birthday cake smelly candle that just is so delightful for me, and it wafts, like it's the littlest things. And ever since that moment of me starting to infuse pleasure and joy for me, like everything creatively has opened up. Channels are opening up, ideas are coming in again, right? It's the fluidity, it's the
Mhm.
lubricant. It's like, holy shit, that was easy. And so I'm just going to keep doing it because it feels good. It's fun. I'm juicier than I've been in a really long time. It's working for me. And what else is possible?
I
Right.
love that.
So it just starts with you, and it doesn't have to be major. It doesn't have to cost a lot of any money. Right. It's like,
Yeah.
what is sexy and juicy and pleasurable and fun for you? And are you willing to honor you and be that and do that, whatever that is, every single day, all day long? And then when you move through the world, baby, you're having sex with everyone and everything, whether they think or know it or not, but you're feeling good, right? And you just radiate, right? You just become this radiant beacon.
Yeah.
And it's not even about what result, it's not about a result. It's just like, it's about feeling good. It just is. So,
Yeah.
did that make any sense? That just
Totally.
right there. Like,
I love that, because we
ugh.
talk about, we hear the expression, I think a common way that this phrase, a little less talk, a lot more action,
Mm-hmm.
is another way that this phrase is said. And what if that is the action? What if the action that's really required is the action we take with ourselves? It's not something
Mm-hmm.
that we do to or for someone else
Right.
necessarily. Like,
Right.
again, really, are we willing to start with us first and take action for us? Is kind of what was landing as you were saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And that, because really, like, how inviting is it when someone is trying to push at you with action, trying to maneuver, that's not fun for me. I don't know about any of you guys, but that is not fun for
No,
me. If I've not asked for that, if that's not like the point we're at in the conversation or the relationship, no, you lose brownie points that way.
exactly.
But what if the action is actually our action? Because I love that priming the pump, that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
I love that phrase. And really, so I see a lot of people really trying to bypass themselves, and in effect, to try to
Mm-hmm.
create their life without including themselves. And I've done that.
That's quite a challenge,
It,
wouldn't you
it is
say?
really challenging. I got to tell you, it's very challenging, actually. And it's not a high return on investment.
No.
So, so if you would like a bit more, functionality in the creation of your life, what if you could include you first? And what if you taking action for you is actually what opens the door, what sets the tone or the pace for the things that you can then choose with another person, if
Yeah.
that's what you desire.
Yeah.
Um, and we seem to get it backwards. We want to do all of this stuff about the other person, but it's really not about them
Mm-mm.
first.
Nope. Abraham Hicks reminds us that
Mm-hmm.
you have to see it. Oh God, Wendy, help me out. I'm so bad when it comes to quoting. I know it, but it's like yeah, let it begin with me. La, la, la. Relax. Sorry, I'm excited. I'm enthused. There's so much energy. It is up to me to feel now how I want to feel when I'm with that person, right? It's up to me to feel now how my successful business is 5 years in the future, right? It begins with me and feeling and sensing and choosing and creating how I feel right now. It's not dependent on anyone else. They can simply add to the generative, enjoyable nature of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it all begins with me.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You have to feel
Yeah.
it first. Exactly. Thanks, Wendy. Yes.
Yeah. And another way you hear us say that is getting the energy of it. It's like,
Yes.
put yourself into that. And so we have to kind of stoke that fire a little bit. And so that could be a really fun way, an opportunity for you to really play with, okay, imagine what it would be like. Or also call up the times that you have felt that energy, or the closest thing you've got to that energy, and ask for more of that to show up. And really allow that to permeate your cells. Really allow yourself to bathe in that. Um, and that too is a part of the sex in the way that we play with the energies of sex. And now for me, there's really no time that we're not being sex. the energies of sex are so vast, because really sex is like life in the way that I interpret those energies and those possibilities. Um, so what, because we're getting to the last quarter
I
hour,
know.
and we have news to share with everybody too for upcoming stuff. So if you are desiring more sex, if you're one of the people who find yourself saying, I really want more sex, would you be willing to start with the energy of sex and ask the universe, ask your body to show you those energies? And one of the parts of this is to let go of any expectation of what they're going to show you. Because your body might show you pomegranates. You know, the universe might guide you to a penny in a parking lot, you know. And if there is so much of this is the element of receiving, is part of what I'm learning for me.
Mm-hmm.
And where we are unwilling to receive will drastically impact what we can then create.
Mm-hmm.
And when you change what you're willing to receive, when you ramp up your willingness to receive even more, to receive the penny in the parking lot without it being dirty, without it being someone else's discard, without it only as a penny, how can it be worth anything? Oh my gosh, a penny. Wow. If the head's facing up, if the tail's facing up, it doesn't matter. Yep. What if it's just, thanks, universe, receive that penny, and then see what else shows up.
Celebrate it, and I celebrate it. My pennies, dimes, feathers, everything.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Thanks, universe. What else you got? Right? It's like acknowledging it's there, receiving it. What else you got?
Yeah.
And the universe is like, okay, and it right. And again, going back to what Wendy said, that the universe only reads our feelings, not our words, which is the emission. It's the vibration. Right? It's a vibrational universe. So it's matching the vibration, and we identify that as feelings, right? So if you are enthusiastic and celebratory with what you are choosing to receive, it will gain momentum, and you will receive more, and more will be put in your path, and more will show up. Yeah. It's just the law of the universe.
Yeah.
One of the laws of the universe. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is about the energy.
Yeah.
So what if you started allowing yourself to have lots more energetic, in parentheses, sex, and inviting more sex to show up in more forms for you, in different ways of expression? So you can have your little kissing Pac-Mans, be engaging more people, more of the people you're with, like let more of them show up. If you were willing to receive more of them, how much more of you could then you allow to show up? And if you were willing to show up even more of you, how much more of others could then show up to you? Yeah. It is the energy.
It is. And so for me, rather than, because I tend to be a little head trippy, and I get that that's not all mine, I'm learning, I will play with, okay, show me the sex that lights me up and turns me on. Yes. And so, like, going back, it could be the penny, right? Like, show me the sex that lights me up and turns me on.
Exactly.
And for me, it's music, it's movement and dancing, it's silliness, it's playful, right? Like, so that's my way. Mm-hmm. So if you ask yourself what's your way, you're going to start to get pictures and images and words and ideas that come in very quickly. Don't poo-poo them. Simply invite them, and if you need to put them on a list so that, you know, you don't forget, or just choose to embody them. Like, watch what shows up when you just play with that. Oh my gosh, it's fun. It's way more fun. Super fun. Super fun.
And that's what it's about, friends. Fun and pleasure in our worlds. And we invite you to more of that. Yes. So, wow. Does it feel like we're kind of at a point to just...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm super grateful for this conversation, all the conversations we've had to this point. Super grateful for people who come and play live each week and those who watch the replays in the future.
Yes.
And as always, Keisha and I are about clarity and about you having freedom for yourself. So if you desire or require additional information, conversation, facilitation, do us one of these numbers so that we can talk to you and help you create what it is you truly desire. So yes. Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
A to the men,
A
sister.
to the men.
So we have an update. It is episode 30. We have had the most amazing round of conversations, and wow. And we've also been playing with the energy of this series, and it has asked for some change. It is asked to change.
Yes.
So we are changing up the way Sexually Speaking will be. It is going to transform into something else. We don't quite know what that is yet.
Right.
And so we are inviting all of you to stay in touch with us. This will be the last conversation that is Sexually Speaking in this format. But we will be on the web. We will be on Facebook. We are accessible. And so how does this want to continue to play in our lives, in all of your lives? If you have questions, if you have whatever's requests, please do let us know. The information will be below this video if you're watching this as the video. The information is on the follow-up emails as well for you to come play with us. And so we're going to move forward in a different way. We don't exactly have all those details yet, but Rhonda and I continue to be available for you to play with. And Rhonda, you have some very cool stuff coming up. I would love for you to share with folks what that is.
I so do. Oh my God, there's so many things popping. And friends, I know that change sometimes is uncomfortable, especially when we get comfortable and we really enjoy something. Please know that Keisha and I always are in the question of what's going to create greater for all and what's going to expand in all ways. And so this isn't about, diminishing. It's going, and the energy of the entity of Sexually Speaking has asked for the change, and I got to wear it. And we are honoring of the energy. We're following what's light. So yes, you can always find me on the radio every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll go ahead and announce it here, and I'm going to be announcing it on my show tomorrow. My show is Potency is my game, and Potency is still my game, but my show will be transitioning to Rock the Motherlode Radio as of January, the first show in January. And there's another change about the radio I can't really disclose, but there are some changes coming for the greater. It's super fun, super juicy, super sexy. If you are not on my mailing list specifically, that's the best way to know what's going on in my world. Just head over to my website. I think a lot of you are already on it, but if not, just go to Rock the Motherlode. That's MOTHERLOAD. So rockthemotherlode.com. And get your free gift. And when you get your free gift, it puts you on my list and you'll just get all the details. And the one thing I do want you guys to know of is I do have a free web event called The Potency of Pleasure. It is on Thursday night, January 26th, 2017. It is free, and we're gonna go there. We're going to just have some fun, and I would love for you to join in. So that is also on my website, rockthemotherlode.com. You just click on the picture, and it'll take you to the landing page. I've got a video. I've got some details. Just get your butt on the list and come on over and have some fun. So Keisha and I will continue to play together. We're not going anywhere. Just Sexually Speaking is transforming, and we're asking questions and feeding it energy so it can be the greatest contribution to all. So what you got cooking, Mama?
Oh, got some change going on over here. It's in the air, it's in the water, it's everywhere. Yes, my final show of 2016 for Living Well, which is also currently on A2Zen. It'll be airing this Friday. I'm actually pre-recording it shortly after we finish this conversation. So if you're available, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, come play on the recording of that show. You'll find us at a2zen.fm and just come on into the chat room and we'll give you the information to call in. It won't be aired until Friday, as I said, but it'll be my last show of 2016. It's also the last show, I believe, of Living Well. My show is actually changing also, and it does air Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And it is all becoming living beyond linear. So that's where everything is going. That's the umbrella that it's all going to be playing under and in. And we're going to get even more. I am going to get even more out there, as it were.
Way
outside of the box and beyond the bounds of conventionality, and really just bring more of the working with the otherworldly energies, as for whatever name you want to give them, the spirits, the beings that are here to play with us and create with us, really being a facilitator of that for others who are desiring to have more of that in their life, more communication, more ease with the communication and co-creation. And we're going to explore just some more fun stuff. You know, how much of sex is way beyond linear that a lot of us don't acknowledge, and it's maybe time to be doing that. And so yeah, so the energy of Sexually Speaking has been a huge contribution to that. We'll keep the YouTube channel up so you can continue to access the videos, and we'll add videos to that channel that will pertain to like giving you information on how to play with us more, and if we have continuing conversations, however we have them and whenever we have them, that want to post on that channel, we'll share them to that channel as well. So you'll still be able to find us. And as Rhonda said, get on our mailing list so that you can keep up with us. My website is not up at the moment. My Facebook page is. So head on over to @LivingBeyondLinear, LINEAR, on Facebook, and you'll find me. And that's where I'll be posting all of the ways to play with me in the meantime.
Awesome. And let me just say this, that because we're not going to be having these conversations in this venue format, if there are conversations about anything, including sex, right, that you desire Keisha, myself, or the both of us together to have a conversation about, please let us know, because we have radio shows. We will talk about, right? Like we love that. We can put together like a telesum. It doesn't matter. So if there are conversations that you would like for us to be having, topics for us to be discussing, let us know. We aren't here just to run our mouths. We really do desire to contribute, to invite, inspire, to assist and support you truly showing up in the world as the brilliance and the magic and the sex of you, whatever that looks like for you. So let us know what you desire and require and how we might contribute to you. It's just going to come to you in a different format than it has. And I know, Keisha, I'm so grateful that this came to you and that you included me and invited me, because what this container has done for the both of us is it has actually allowed us to step into more of who we truly are, the willingness to talk about anything and everything with not a point of view about it, to play with it. It has provided and contributed so much to me and my life, my body, my business, everything. So thank you so much for including me, and thank you for all of those of you who've been along for this ride. It's just so immense.
This has been such a gift, and really like that whole, the metaphor, the analogy of, you know, the more willing we were to have sex, the more willing we were to be having the more of the energies of sex showing up and expressing to us and through us. Just look at what's being created, you know, because I'm privy to both of our lives. What's being created in our lives is amazing. And we will continue to play together. We have some things in the hopper, so stay tuned.
Getting juicier.
So it's really, it is the invitation we desire to continue to be. And the invitation we extend to you always is, what if you actually choosing more of you and being willing to show up as more of you and have more of you is really the way that everything becomes more possible and that more things become possible. So we always love to play with, would you be willing to have the conversation to create the reality, the life that you know is possible? And that is where we play. That's how we play. So thank you for playing with us. Thank you, Rhonda. Oh my gosh, getting to have this journey with you is and has been, and I know will continue to be, it's just so amazing. It's such a contribution.
Universe, show us what's next. Youth is friends. Universe, show me what's next. Show me what else is gonna, you know, bring me pleasure, light me up, be enjoyable, and be an enjoyable contribution, right?
Yeah, totally.
So happy New Year, everyone. Have an amazing rest of the holiday season. We will see you somewhere, and you know where to find us. So once again, Keisha's on Facebook at Living Beyond Linear. That's the Facebook where you can contact her and make sure you stay connected to her. I'm on social media throughout as well, but you can come on over to rockthemotherload.com, get on the list, and make sure you stay connected. And of course,
Yes.
so tomorrow, Wednesday, the
Ooh,
28th,
got a good one.
Potency is My Game is the title is What is Your Pleasure?
Hmm?
And Friday, you were talking on
Our
living well.
conversation is going to be all we are is changing.
Okay, there you go. And that'll round out the 2016 year on A to Zen.fm. And
Yes.
I wonder what's around the corner.
Yes. And folks, no matter what else you're doing, would you please be willing always, always, always to be celebrating all things sex and the sex of everything.
Love you guys. We'll see you.
Yay! Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Mwah.